Good evening, everybody. Today I'll be playing another experimental Tron list. I've made a number of changes to one of the recent 5.0 deck lists, mainly because I'm trying to hedge my bets against some of the more common decks that we're currently seeing. So first off, there's an addition of Relic for some additional main deck cycling, as well as Grave Hate for some of the decks that currently exist in the metagame. This version that I saw that 5.0'd had 2 Walking Ballistas in the main, and I kind of like that. We've got some Ugins, the Ineffable, but I'm not thrilled about that, but I'll take it. It is sort of decent to have another thing we can play off of just Tron. This version was playing 2 Ulamog, the Ceaseless Hunger, but with all the mill players we've been seeing, I replaced one with Kozilek, Butcher of Truth. They are not really comparable in terms of how good they are. Ulamog, the Ceaseless Hunger, can win you the game on the spot when he is cast by exiling 2 permanents, but this is kind of just like a middle finger to mill, so if we get milled, we'll at least have double our life total sort of a thing going on. Our opponent may not expect it, that kind of a deal. Hopefully it's not too awkward, and this list is also running 2 Ugin the Spirit Dragon, which I like. I like the color board wipe kind of a deal. I took the suggestion of... oh shoot, who was it? Let me check the comments really quick. Somebody recommended Weather the Storm. Jakar Umbra on YouTube recommended Weather the Storm. I don't think he was the only person. I think somebody else also recommended that to me, so I'm sorry if I didn't mention the other person by name. I did look, I just didn't see. And I'm considering Spatial Contortion is good. I like it instead of Dismember versus decks that cause us to lose a lot of life quickly. Dismember is very painful. It does suck that this is like our next best kill spell besides Walking Ballista and Dismember, but I'll take what I can get here. And without any further ado, let's go ahead and take this into a Modern League. Oh, I guess I don't have the tickets. One moment, I will be right back. Alrighty, round 1, here we go. Time to see if our tech choices will make a difference or not. 1 Tron piece map, we can do better by mulliganing. Time to go to 5. Alrighty, this is Natural Tron, so we're going to put back Thragtusk, and I think an Ancient Stirrings. Hopefully, we draw something big that we can play right away. Okay, when it starts, Bloodstained Mire cracks it, and finds Blood Crypt untapped, so this looks like Death Shadow, or Death Shadow Blitz, or whatever it's called nowadays. So we'll start Power Plant Map past the turn. We might be getting Blast Zone, and Blast Zone might actually be too slow on turn 4. We'll see. Okay, opponent plays Bauble, gets a Prowess trigger. Sacks Bauble to draw a card. Another Fetch Land, cracks it. Second Blood Crypt, untapped. Opponent gets in for 2. And they play a Scourge of the Skyclaves, which is currently rather small because we do not have... we haven't lost that much life yet. It's going to get a lot bigger a lot quicker. Opponent shocks another Blood Crypt. Bumps in the night. Grows their Scourge quite large. I think... we're probably going to have to die immediately, because our opponent's going to hit us for 11, we're going to go to 1, and even if we play Karn, downtick and exile the Scourge, we die to the 1/2. Let's go ahead and thin our deck and see if we can't find anything, or just die to an opponent slow rolling a bolt. Okay. So, Spatial Contortion's in. Veil of Summer might be worth it. Or Weather the Storm. I'm going to drop Kozilek. I'm going to keep Ulamog in, though. And I'm going to cut 1 Ugin the Ineffable, because it's just a worse Karn here, I think. Then we'll try running it back. Weather the Storm may not be enough, but we might jank out and surprise our opponent if they have a Scourge hand. We might be able to kill the Scourge while regaining all of the bolts they just hit us with. So that would be cool. I'd love to play first. I think in this matchup that makes a huge difference. Tron Piece, Scrying, Ballista we'll keep. Backup plan is an Ancient Stirrings, which isn't bad. If my opponent's playing Thought Seizes, they may not be playing Threats immediately, so they might have a slow enough hand that this actually works. I still think we probably can't beat their ideal draw. Okay, opponent starts Wooded Foothills, fetches, getting a Blood Crypt, untapped of course. Swift Spear attacks us for 1. Take 1, go to 19, untap. We draw Chromatic Sphere. Crack for green, draw a card. It's a mine. Play a tower, Sylvan Scrying, and let's get a power plant. Okay. So I think what we do is we play power plant, then we play Chromatic Sphere, filter into a green. Oh, maybe not. I forgot that casting Chromatic Sphere out of hand is a deficit of 2 mana. Alright, we get bolted. And bolted. And hit for 3 down to 10. Draw a sphere. Play power plant. Walking Ballista X3. Play a sphere. Ping once. Ping twice. Pass the turn. We're really looking for a Wormcoil Engine or a Thragtusk at this point. Okay, opponent Thought Seizes. They can take Ancient Stirrings, which is our best card right now, but at the same time, like, we still have spheres, we could still draw a lot of things. Opponent plays a Death Shadow. So, to play potentially into a Blast Zone draw, we're not going to play a land until we've drawn all of the cards we plan to draw this turn. Okay, we hit a Karn. I'm going to start by sacking for a green. Okay, we get a map. We could play a map, use mine, get a tower, and then play Karn, exiling Shadow. Or we can just play... Yeah, that's probably better. Or we could actually get... Hang on. We have 2 floating, so we go down to 6, use Expedition Map. Use 2, go down to 4, get Blast Zone, play mine, go to 6. No, we have to... We either have to get tower, or we have to just, like, play mine and play out our stuff and play Karn and exile Shadow. And I think that's the plan. So go ahead, play Karn. Nuke Shadow. Play a mine. Play a sphere. And play a map. My opponent does have Monastery Swift Spears, so I'm going to leave back the Ballista to block. Okay, opponent. This can target Planeswalkers? Okay. Opponent goes down to 0 cards in hand and puts Lurrus into their hand. Alright, so stop on our upkeep. Let's go get a Sanctum of Ugin. Then draw Spatial Contortion. So, play Sanctum. Crack for green, draw a card. We get a Wormcoil Engine. So, play Wormcoil Engine. Attack for 1. Take our opponent to 6. After they play Lurrus, we're going to just contort it immediately. Alright, opponent concedes. They can't beat a Wormcoil. I still don't think we want Veil of Summer for Thoughtseize. And I don't think we make any other adjustments. Let's just run it back. We have Star, we have Map, we have Blast Zone, and we have Weather the Storm. If we draw a Tron land off the top, this could actually be really good. I think I'm going to mulligan, though. This is significantly worse. I think I go to 5. The problem is we do have good interaction in this hand. I think I'm going to keep, actually, and ship back Karn. No, this doesn't work. No, I'm going to 5. Well, this doesn't work the most, but we do have an Ancient Stirrings Chromatic Sphere that would get completely wrecked by a Thoughtseize. Should have kept the 7. I really should have kept the 7, but like, that's hindsight's 2020 kind of a deal. So let's go down to 4. All right, well, this is the worserest of them all. Down to 3. All right, you know what? Map, Tron Piece is the kind of 3 cards I want to keep. Opponent starts Wooded Foothills, Fetch, Shock, and hopefully red 1-drop. Alright, they play Bauble. They look at the top card of their own deck. That means they're probably starting Thoughtseize. Okay, Soulscar Mage. We draw Ancient Stirrings, play Mine, play Map, and pass. Opponent plays a Bloodstained Mire, fetches. Shocks down to 14. Plays a Swift Spear and a Thoughtseize, taking an Ancient Stirrings. Well, they can't stop us from assembling Tron now. I imagine they were holding this Thoughtseize and trying to decide on between the two Soulscar Mage or Thoughtseize. And the Thoughtseize, when we were at 3 cards, they were probably like, we should just outspeed them. Okay, Blast Zone is actually quite nice. That gives us a backup plan, especially if my opponent is playing Shadows and not Scourges. Alright, they Blood Crypt themselves down to 10. They put Lurrus into their hand and attack us for 2. Alright, we'll fetch up a Power Plant. Untap. Draw Ugin. So play Power Plant, pass the turn. Ugin is a fantastic draw versus basically everything our opponent can play. Because we don't have to minus Ugin very much. Especially if my opponent's just playing Lurrus, Bauble, and Cracking Bauble. Because we're not taking that much damage. And then we have Blast Zone to help protect Ugin from low drops, in addition to Ugin's pluses. So we're really not in that bad of a place here. This was an excellent... This is probably the ideal mulligan to 3. Okay, so our opponent draws up to 4 cards. Play Blast Zone. Play Ugin. Opponent says, wow. We got a little lucky, but we also teched this deck to have the best chance against aggro we possibly could. So I don't feel too bad about this. Opponent Thoughtseizes, sees our other Ugin and nabs it. Angrath's Rampage, sack a Planeswalker? Okay. Well, we drew Karn. This one's all luck. Okay, considering my opponent's threats all cost, like, 2 or less, because Lurrus is the only 3-cost card in their entire deck, we're going to uptick on their hand. Because this puts Karn pretty much out of reach of being bolted down. Opponent says this is insane. But like I said, we built the deck to be like this. We got lucky mulliganing to land map. We got lucky top decking top end after that too, because those could very well have just been like forests. Okay, opponent plays Seal of Fire, Shadow, and Bump in the Night. We got a Soulscar Mage out of their hand. Alright. Sack Blast Zone. Opponent Seal of Fires us. Tick up on our opponent. Play Map. Crack Map. And I want to get Sanctum of Ugin, but I think Forest is best here. Forest enables all of our Ancient Stirrings top decks and things, as well as like our Singleton Thragtusk and a few others. Opponent casts a Bump in the Night. If I have to restart the game, I will. So my opponent has a ridiculous number of bolts in their deck. We saw Bump in the Night, we saw Lightning Bolt, we saw Searing or Lava Spike. I really think restarting the game is what we should do. I think that is our best chance. If we wanted to get really greedy and try and fade one draw, we could uptick on our own hand, putting Ugin in exile, and then starting the game over with an Ugin. But I really think we're just going to die if that happens. And we'll at least start with a blocker. Yeah, we're going to restart the game. Because we can't stay at 2 life. Not versus a deck running literally 12 bolts. I mean, you know, if we're going to just have, like, the best possible 7, yeah. Keep 7, are you kidding me? Oh, and the other cool thing is, our opponent doesn't get to start with, what's it called? Luris in their companion zone. It's in their deck now. They still have 60 cards because we have their Soulscar Mage. I'm also not attacking my opponent early. Them losing life faster is bad for us. Alright, so opponent starts fetch. Shock. Thoughtseize. They see natural Tron with a map. They take Ugin. We untap. We draw an Ancient Stirrings. Play Power Plant. Pass the turn. No attacks. I'm actually really tempted to tutor up a forest here. So I'm leaving up Spatial Contortion, and if my opponent plays anything that it kills, I'm going to cast that. Okay, opponent plays Polluted Delta. They Thoughtseize us again. Okay. They can take Spatial Contortion, or they can take an Ancient Stirrings. They take an Ancient Stirrings. Opponent fetches a Swamp and Bump in the Night. Yeah, this is a much more anemic start than the first time we played this game, before we went back in time. So we're going to fetch up a Forest, untap, and Wormcoil Engine is pretty fantastic. No attacks. Yep. Restarting the game was absolutely the correct play. I'm glad I did not get greedy. And I'm not saying that because we won. I'm saying that because reevaluating that in my mind, the risk was still enormous that we died immediately. Especially because our opponent had, like, Seal of Fire in addition to all of those bolts. So, yeah. I'll see you guys in round 2. Alright. Round 2. I'd love to play first. Natural Tron. Keep. So start mine, play star. Pass the turn. Question is, what do we Sylvan Scrying for? And I think the answer is we wait until we see what our opponent is playing. Overgrown Tomb. Okay. Inquisition. I think Sanctum of Ugin is probably the pick. If we get to Sylvan Scrying, of course. Okay, they take Sylvan Scrying. We untap. We draw Ancient Stirrings. So crack Star for green, draw a card. Another Power Plant. Ancient Stirrings. Let's get Sphere we could play off of Power Plant, but I think Ulamog is just better because we have redundant towers and everything. Play a Forest, pass the turn. Next turn we can play Walking Ballista on 3, provided our opponent does not have another Inquisition or an Assassin's Trophy. We played the Power Plant to try and bait an Assassin's Trophy here because we drew another Power Plant. Although, they could Assassin's Trophy the mine, that would suck. Alright, Thoughtseize. They take Ulamog. They pass, we draw a Blast Zone. Play Ballista X3. And pass the turn. They could be Jund to Death Shadow, judging by the fact that they're shocking and Thoughtseizing and stuff. 3 mana. Kolaghan's Command. So I guess let's ping our opponent. And we are going to discard Power Plant. Yay, Karn. Play Karn. Nuke red mana. Pass the turn. Now our opponent would have to have another red land and bolt to immediately deal with Karn. If they just play out threats, like 2 Death Shadow as an example, we have Blast Zone to back all this up, which is amazing. Opponent plays a Raging Ravine tapped, and a Scavenging Ooze. It looks like this might actually be just regular Jund. Alright, well, let's get some information off of Chromatic Star. before we do anything else. Crack Star for green. Ooh, Karn Great Creator. So, exile a card from our opponent's hand. It was a swamp. Play Karn. Go ahead and wish. I think playing a land and then Ballista on 3 to give ourselves a blocker as well as take out the ooze now is probably the best play. So we'll do that. Because now my opponent is likely only going to be able to cast 1 removal spell for planeswalkers and stuff, but nice. Ended up beating Jund. I'm going to bring in Veil of Summers. Spatial Contortion might be worth it if they have things like Dark Confidant, but we also have Walking Ballistas in the main deck, so it's not super, super important. I'm going to drop a Kozilek and a Relic. We're going to keep 1 Relic in because it could be good against the Tarmogoyf. Yeah, we'll keep this. This hand is a star away from Tron. Star or sphere or land. Okay, opponent fetches, shocks, Inquisition. So they definitely take the only card they can, which is Sylvan Scrying. So we untap, draw a map. So play mine and map. Pass the turn. We are opening ourselves up to an Abrupt Decay, or an Assassin's Trophy, of course. Okay, opponent plays a Verdant Catacombs. Fetches. Shocks down to 14. Cleansing Wildfire. Okay. The new Anti-Tron tech, recently printed. Let's see if we can fight through it. Another Worm Coil. So play a tower, pass the turn. This does cantrip for our opponent, but they take a turn off of doing pretty much anything else. One thing's for sure is we are searching up a non-basic regardless. And it will be, I think, a power plant when we do. Okay, opponent plays a Liliana. Let's go ahead and get a power plant. When our opponent has us discard, I think we discard an Ugin. Ugin is a ways away. If my opponent happens to be running Surgicals, it could be a problem. Play power plant, pass the turn. This time if my opponent upticks, I think I have to discard a Wormcoil Engine. I think discarding lands here would be suicide. Maybe it is correct to discard a forest. I don't know. I think we need to be making our land drops as much as possible. And Wormcoil lines up quite well against Liliana. Alright. Liliana tap land, huh? Alright, we draw Karn, which we are a ways away from at this point. So play Great Creator. Down tick. We will use his ability. And we will get a, I guess, Sorceress Spyglass at this point. Pass the turn. I suspect my opponent has a Kolaghan's Command, though. It'll be a little awkward if they have to play a land and tick up Liliana. They may just tick up and discard whatever land they were going to play, seeing as how they almost certainly have removal for 1 artifact. So I'm interested to see what they do here, because they basically know what we're holding and know what we're going to do. Like, we have to Spyglass to prevent Liliana from ulting. Okay, they just Lightning Bolt Karn. They play Wrenn and 6. They tick up, and then they'll discard Verdant Catacombs if they have artifact destruction. We are going to discard, I guess at this point, it has to be Wormcoil. Because the only way we really get out of this is if we top deck a Mine and play Karn. Yep, opponent discarded the Verdant Catacombs. That means their last card in hand is Artifact Destruction, and that means Sorcerer's Spyglass is not long for this world. It means that they're going to ult Liliana, basically. Ooh, that's perfect. Sylvan Scrying. We get a Mine. Play the Mine. Play Karn. Down tick, hitting Lily. If their artifact removal is Kolaghan's Command, they can Kolaghan's Command hitting Karn and downtick Renin 6 to kill him. But unless they did that, top decked a Bloodbraid Elf for a Bolt, or I guess Planeswalker removal, Bloodbraid Elf counts. Hitting Lightning Bolt. So down goes Karn. We can at least Sorcerous Spyglass Renin 6, but my opponent does have artifact removal in their hand still. They pick up Raging Ravine and then play it. We untap. Draw a Thrag Tusk. So let's go ahead and Spyglass. It is Kolaghan's command, okay. So name Renin 6 anyway. Play a land. Play Tusk. Gain a bunch of life. This gives us a pretty decent wall here. If my opponent animates Raging Ravine, we block Raging Ravine. Like, we would trade a creature for a land, even if they could just buy back the land anyway. Actually, no, we wouldn't. If my opponent animated Raging Ravine and attacked with both creatures, we would just swing at Renin 6, which I think is what we're still going to do. If our opponent drew removal, we want to make them use it. Them attacking with Bloodbraid offers the trade for the Thrag Tusk, and then they could Kolaghan's command and downtick to kill it. And Kolaghan's command could actually pick up Bloodbraid out of the grave, which would be horrible for us. Absolutely atrocious. We're basically looking to top deck an Ugin at this point, which we still have one left in the deck. No O-Stones, unfortunately. O-Stone would be good here. We untap. We draw a tower. They're going to Kolaghan's command on our upkeep. Destroy and discard. Alright. We don't really discard anything relevant here. Like, the mana would have been nice, but we're already at 10, which is where we top out. Yeah, we kind of just have to top deck better than them now. And they get to thin their deck every turn until they can turn on Retrace. We have ways out of this game, there's just not a lot of them in our deck right now. So our opponent attacks for a lot. We want to trade with the Raging Ravine. We take 9 this way and go to 10. Depending on what we draw, though, we could attack Renin 6. They pick up Raging Ravine, they replay it. We untap. Good draw, please. Walking Ballista is pretty good. So, go to combat. Attack Renin 6. Play Walking Ballista. X5. Ping down Renin 6. This is really bad if they have creature removal, though. I guess they can't kill us this turn, because we can shoot down the Bloodbraid. And if they don't have creature removal, we can chump and then shoot down Bloodbraid. Them activating Ravine, though, really sucks. Okay, they activate Ravine. They go to combat. They swing out. Put a 1/1 counter on Ravine. Block Goyf. Ping the Elf. Ping the Elf. Take 4, go to 6. We have one more chance at a good draw here. Untap. Get a Sphere. That's a redraw. So, play Sphere. Crack for green. Veil of Summer. Alright. Pass the turn. We can chump the Goyf and go to 1. As long as our opponent doesn't have burn, of course. Okay. Activate Ravine. They go to combat. Attack for 11. Chump the Goyf. And go to 1. And our best bet would be as if our opponent casts an Inquisition or a Thoughtseize this turn to follow this up. Bloodstainmire. Inquisition. So fire off Veil. We get an Ancient Stirrings, which is an excellent top deck. Untap. We draw Power Plant. Okay. So Ancient Stirrings. Oh no. I'll get a star. Rest of the bottom any order. Got one draw to try and get something that's going to win us the game. Wormcoil is our best bet. We still have to fade burn even if we draw that. Sylvan Scrying does not do it. So we'll scoop it up and go to game 3. Fought hard that one. Just didn't get there. Veil of Summer felt pretty bad there. I don't know if Weather the Storm would be much better, though. Spatial Contortion can technically kill Raging Ravines, but I think that's probably results-oriented. I don't think in the average case our opponent should be beating down with Raging Ravine, so I'm not going to bring them in. Tower Map is a fine opener. If we had one more Tron land, this hand would be amazing. No green mana. I think we can do better. Alright. We'll just keep double Tron land and hopefully draw a star into Stirring's hit tower, I guess. I don't think I can go much lower against a deck that runs so many Thoughtseizes and Inquisitions. Like, this is already going to be trouble. Maybe if I'm on the play, I think still going down to 4, I guess, is worth it, because we could still get Tron land map, which our opponent would have difficulty interacting with. Alright, one more. Down to 3. Tron land, star. Let's do it. What are you gonna do, bro? Thoughtseize me? If I beat Jund on a Maul to 3, the Magic Gods wanted me to win. Nice Thoughtseize, bro. Top deck Scrying, please. Okay, Wormcoil. We are cracking for green. Ugin the Ineffable. Alright. Let's pray to Top Deck God. Top Deck God, please grant me an Urza's Mine, so I may punish this Jund player for his insolence. He thinks his deck is a significant advantage against playing Tron with all of his Cleansing Wildfires, Fulminator Mages, and discard. Allow me to prove him wrong. No worries, Top Deck God, I am still faithful. I still believe you will grant me a mine in time to punish this Jund player for his insolence. Alright, that's a Verdant Catacombs. That's 3 mana. It's when most of their worst spells for us turn on. Alright, Liliana of the Veil, making us discard Ugin the Ineffable. They discard Lightning Bolt. I believe in you, Top Deck God. You have granted me a small boon. Please, just give me a Chromatic Sphere, or Chromatic Star, or Urza's Mine now. Opponent ticks up Liliana of the Veil, we discard Karn, Great Creator. Opponent discards a Swamp, plays a Verdant Catacombs, cracks Verdant Catacombs, gets a Stomping Ground, casts a Bloodbraid Elf into a Maelstrom Pulse with no targets. Nice. We get hit for 3, and we go to 17. Alright, Top Deck God, I beseech you once more. Grant me what I need. That is not what I need. Top Deck God, please, no, don't betray me. I believe in the god of Tron top decks, please. So an opponent ticks up Lily, we have to discard Ancient Stirrings. They have to think about what they're going to discard. They Thoughtseize us. They take Wormcoil, leaving us with no real choice of discard here. No! They're taking everything from us! At least their clock is currently slow. Alright. We untap, draw an Ugin, we pass the turn. I think they just keep ticking up Lily until we play the last Tron land, then they ult her and take us off of Tron again, and we probably die to Bloodbraid along the way. Well, we definitely die now that they drew a land, because they can just animate Raging Ravine. It was also definitely correct to crack Chromatic Star the turn we cracked it, because the odds that we drew an Ancient Stirrings or a Sylvan Scrying or anything that we could play was quite high. It comes too late, Top Deck God. I am sorry. I don't know what I did to deserve this. And sadly, we must concede. Losing the match to Jund. I'll see you guys in round 3. Alright, round 3. Here we go. We'll play first. Mulligan. Ooh, real tempting, but I think we get a mulligan that as well. Man, what is with our hands today? I'm going to 4. Perfect. Sometimes you just get it. Players is mine. Pass the turn. Opponent starts Snow-Covered Plains. Aether Vial. This looks like death and taxes. Hopefully, our opponent cannot Ghost Quarter us before we assemble Tron. I mean, they'd have to play and activate a Ghost Quarter this turn. Okay, they play a Temple Garden. And they cast another Aether Vial. We untap. We draw Walking Ballista. So play Tower. Play Karn. This shuts off their Aether Vials. Sweet. An opponent concedes. Whew. Alright, so green-white Aether Vial deck. Green-white Aether Vial deck. Something with Temple Garden. So this could be like Soul Herder, Spirits, Humans, which probably means we need Spatial Contortions. And Wilt is probably not a bad idea. I'm going to cut the gigantic Eldrazi in this matchup, I think. And I'm going to cut the relics. We'll try running it like this. My logic here is that while the gigantic Eldrazi will win the game if they come down, my opponent likely has Path, so the on-cast trigger may or may not be enough. This is actually kind of a reasonable hand, simply because we're on the draw. We have several draws to hit a Tron piece here, but I think mulliganing for like guaranteed Tron is better. You know, kind of like this. Okay, opponent starts Flooded Strand, cracks it. Gets a Breeding Pool tapped. We untap. Draw an Ancient Stirrings. So play Mine, play Sphere, pass the turn. Opponent plays a Hollowed Fountain. Tapped and plays an Aether Vial. Draw an Ancient Stirrings. Play Tower. Crack for green. Scrying. And let's get a Power Plant. And we're following this up with Karn, and if our opponent somehow has a way to deal with Karn, we have Blast Zone for any cheap permanents that may come down, including Aether Vial. Alright. We draw another tower. Play Power Plant. Play Karn. This strikes me as a Spirits deck that has Spell Queller. Can they answer an... If they're playing Spirits and not some other janky Coco deck, do they have anything in their deck that would answer a Karn outright? I think if we downtick, they might be able to put enough stuff in that it would matter. I'm going to uptick Karn here. I know some people may not like this play, but I think if we downtick, my opponent, if they're on Spirits, could flash in a Spell Queller or put in a 1-drop. Teferi Time Raveler. Okay, not what I would have guessed. Yeah, but if they're on Spirits, they could have vialed in a Spell Queller and then just like played a Lord, and then we would be in real trouble. Aven Mind Sensor. One plays a Misty Rainforest. Moto is struggling pretty hard. They attack Karn down to 8. They crack Misty. This Coco deck, maybe? Temple Garden. I might have to restart Moto here because it's just started lagging absurdly. And they're going to bounce Karn to get back to Fairy. I have a feeling they're going to Phantasmal Image this Venser. We know one of the 2 cards in their hand is Teferi, and the other one... Try replaying Karn. Uptick Karn. We're going to try and take a card out of their hand again. Ephemerate. So the last card in their hand is Teferi. So play a Forest, Ancient Stirrings, and we will get a Chromatic Sphere. Rest of the bottom in any order. Okay, pass the turn. anything we get off of this Ancient Stirrings we can play. Okay, Pona plays a Flooded Strand, meaning their last card in hand is Teferi. Okay, this is unbearable. I'm restarting Moto, like, right now. Well, as soon as Moto actually lets me click it or do anything. I hear a bunch of noises. I don't really know what's happening. Thassa Deep Dwelling. For some reason, I thought they got back to Fairy when they bounced Karn, but that's definitely not how that works. So, we draw an Expedition map. Start Ancient Stirrings, I guess. Because we could get like an Ugin, and that would be amazing if we hit him. Hey, Ugin. Rest to the bottom. Play Tower. Play Ugin. -4 Ugin. And that should probably be the game. We'll play a sphere and a map this turn as well. Put a Cracks Flooded Strand just to thin their deck. Okay, pass the turn. Opponent, Aether Vial. They choose not to tick it up, and they concede, giving us the match. Nice. See you guys in round 4. Alright, round 4, here we go. Alright, this will be a turn 3 Tron, provided that our opponent does not have hand disruption for the map and the Sylvan Scrying. So I'm going to keep. It's not absolutely ideal because we are on the draw. Our opponent is mulligan to 5, which is good news for us, usually. Ah, opponent is also on the Tron. I see. Well, if we draw a Karn that we can play on our turn 3 and our opponent does not assemble Tron and play Karn, we will definitely win. They are playing green Tron, it would appear, as they're playing Chromatic Star. This is not an Eldrazi Tron, like, pump faking that they are Tron, or green Tron, I guess. Opponent does have the Sylvan Scrying, so it all comes down to whether or not they have a good threat to go along with this since they mulligan to 5. Alright, play a tower, pass the turn. Opponent plays a mine. And nothing, so we get our Urza's Mine. Untap. We draw Karn Liberated. And the game's over. Theoretically. Now my opponent could have another tower and a Karn Liberated that they just drew. Like, they could have had another tower in hand and followed this up with a Karn Liberated. But thankfully it would appear that that is not the case. But an Ancient Stirrings, they do find a tower. We untap. We draw an Ancient Stirrings, so play a forest. Ancient Stirrings. I guess we'll take another tower. Rest to the bottom. Play Star. Crack Star for green. Ancient Stirrings again. Second Karn Liberated. Okay. Nuke another Tron piece. And we'll follow this up with Karn next turn as well. Opponent plays an Urza's Tower. And concedes. Good. In the Tron versus Tron matchup, if you can win on the draw in game 1, that's a good sign. You really need to take game 1, I think, in the Tron versus Tron matchup. Because that guarantees you probably going first in game 3 if it happens. And going first in the Tron versus Tron matchup is a huge advantage. So you need to try to win game 1 at all costs. Which I know is tough because it's like, how do you know that your opponent's playing Tron and all this other stuff, but just something to be aware of, I guess. We can bring in Wilts. They're probably better than Relic of Progenitus because they cycle for about the same amount of mana, just at different scales. So we'll try that. Hopefully it works. Alright, this is a turn 3 Tron, but with no mana disruption. So Ugin is not actually that fantastic of a threat. It's like about on par with casting a Worm Coil against your opponent, except a little bit worse in the Tron versus Tron matchup. It might be able to draw you into better cards. Opponent starts Ghost Quarter. Map. Okay. So we start Power Plant map. Pass the turn. They're going to Ghost Quarter us? They must have a really bad hand if they're going to go on that line. That is not a good way to start against your opponent. So we're going to play a mine. We could star into Stirrings here, but I think just mapping for tower is better. Oof, they kept a one-lander with map. Yeah. That's a rough keep, opponent. I'm sorry. Play star. Crack star. Draw a card. Stirrings. Take a map. Rest of the bottom. Play a map. Pass the turn. So next turn, yeah. I was going to say, next turn we can be extra nasty. We can play Ugin, still have 2 mana, play Karn, then wish for Liquid Metal Coating, and then there's nothing our opponent can do for the rest of the game. Alright, so we are 3-1 going into round 5. This is better than I've done with Tron in a while, so I'm kind of excited. I think the aggro, like, we have been getting a little bit lucky, I will admit. There are several hands where we probably shouldn't have won, but we did top deck into some pretty good stuff. Close. If this was a different Tron piece, I would say absolutely. Also close. We're going to 5. Okay, no lands. We're going to 4. Opponent also has mulliganed to 6. We're seeing if they're mulliganing to 5. Nope, they keep 6. They go to 4. And we'll keep. Gotta put back 3 cards. So let's put back Star, Star, Stirrings. So we start Tron Piece Star, and we can follow this up with Stirrings, hopefully hitting a tower, or a Sylvan Scrying guarantee tower. Okay, we're also against Tron in round 5. We draw a Relic. So let's crack for green, see what we draw. Mine. Ancient Stirrings. We gotta take tower, unfortunately. Rest of the bottom. Play tower, play Relic. Pass the turn. Opponent is not on a turn 3 Tron hand, which is a huge, huge deal. That gives us a whole extra turn to draw an actual threat. Okay. We draw a Blast Zone. So play a Power Plant. Crack Relic to draw. Play Star. Crack Star for green. Play a map. And pass the turn. Question is, what do we map for now? And I think we got a map for... I think a forest to be safe. Because a forest turns on Ancient Stirrings draws. Okay, opponent plays a Relic. If we do not draw a Karn... If we do not draw Karn, we need to play and activate Blast Zone as like our last-ditch effort. We could take a tower and potentially turn on drawing Ulamog Kozilek. I think it's safer to take the forest, though. So I'm going to take the forest. We just have more draws that the forest helps. Okay, Ugin the Spirit Dragon. We could play Ugin, but I think Blast Zone is better here. This really sucks if my opponent has the last Tron piece and plays Karn. But against the average draw, I think this is our best bet. We take them off of a land tutor and a draw. 3 mana, opponent has an Oblivion Stone. Passes, we draw another tower, so play the tower. Play Ugin. Tick up on our opponent. We just have to fade them getting the last Tron land, basically, for 2 turns. Okay, they play a Relic. That's a redraw. Duplicate Tron piece, which gets them 1 land away from activating O-Stone. Walking Ballista, maybe? Yep, okay. So we untap, we draw a sphere. Start sphere. Crack for green. We get a worm coil. So if we tick up on Ballista, that way if they ping Ugin, he's still in ult range. Okay. And we're going to play Worm Coil as an insurance policy against our opponent just cracking O-Stone next turn. Play a Forest. Pass the turn. I'm not playing out the Urza's Mine because my opponent somehow does have Tron land Karn and they nuke mine. No, I guess that wouldn't make sense. My opponent would just activate O-Stone. If we ult Ugin here, it's probably over because we'll probably hit Karn Great Creator, which means no more O-Stone. Opponent is getting a ton of redraws here. Sylvan Scrying, they're finally going to hit the tower. We're really going to need some way to interrupt that mana. And we're going to have a lot of draws to do it. Okay, ult Ugin. Oh, yeah, game over. Put up to 7 permanents on the battlefield. 1. Not that one, I want to cast that one. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah. Whew! That was close. That was real close. Okay, do we bring in Wilt over Relic? I think the answer is yes. We did not run into Mill this league, so we didn't get to see if Kozilek shuffling our deck back in would ever be relevant, but kind of sounds fun at least. Okay. Close. This is extremely close, but I don't think this is good enough. This, on the other hand, probably is. I'm going to put back Blast Zone. Okay. Opponent starts Power Plant, Map. We'll start Tower, Sphere. Opponent plays Tower. Draw Forest. So crack for green. Draw Kozilek. Play Power Plant. We'll Sylvan Scry for, I guess, a mine? Actually, a Power Plant. This way we have redundant pieces of the ones already on the board. So if my opponent has a way to disrupt our mana only once, like a World Breaker or something, which I guess they wouldn't be able to cast this turn. It's probably just wishful thinking on my part. This was only a matter of time. Okay, they take Power Plant. We untap. We draw Sylvan Scrying, so play Power Plant, pass the turn. Opponent makes us exile a card from our hand. So we'll exile Forest. They play an Urza's Factory into a Chromatic Sphere. Interesting choice of land for tech here. Alright, they do have World Breakers. That does make them better in the matchup. Okay. Well, we can't beat that with any series of draws. Run it back. But this time we'll be on the play for Game 3, which will make a big difference. We hope. Alright, I would love to play first. Tron Piece, Star, Ancient Stirrings, sure. Or Sphere, Ancient Stirrings, sure. Opponent mulligans to 6. Mulligans to 5. Keeps 5. We'll start Power Plant Map. Pass the turn. Opponent starts Power Plant Star. We draw Power Plant, play Mine. Crack and get Tower. Pass the turn. Opponent cracks for green. Ancient Stirrings. Gets another Expedition Map. Plays a Forest. I feel like we're out of the woods now. We draw a Wilt. Play Tower. Play Sphere. Let's crack Sphere for green, see what we draw, and then we'll decide on what to play here. Star. So the answer is both. Wilt the map. Play Star. Crack Star for green. Karn Liberated, Ancient Stirrings. Take Karn Great Creator. Rest of the bottom. Pass the turn. And I think we got him. Okay, opponent plays a Chromatic Star. They get a redundant power plant, and they play a Walking Ballista on 1. We untap, we draw a map. Play Karn Great Creator. Wish. Take Liquid Metal Coating. Play Power Plant. Play Coating. Play Map. Crack Map for Tower. Okay. Stop on my opponent's upkeep. Turn off their green mana. This way they can't pump Walking Ballista. Well, I mean, they couldn't anyway because of Karn. Hit Karn down to 2. They play a map. And they play a map. Neither of which they can use. We untap. We draw a Sphere. So, play Sphere. Crack it for green. Draw Sylvan Scrying. Play Sanctum. Sylvan Scrying. Get a Blast Zone. Play Karn. Sack Sanctum. Get Ulamog. Kill a land. Kill a land. Pass the turn. And the game is over, and we 4-1 with our new mono-green Tron list. So, taking a look back at this particular one, I feel a little bit lucky that the Kozilek didn't seem to matter in the general sense. It's possible that one of our cards on our sideboard should actually be the Kozilek, and we should adjust the main board. Maybe even drop an Ugin the Ineffable to play the other copy of Ulamog the Ceaseless Hunger. I wanted to run the old Ulamog, but he's 11 mana, which is a lot more awkward than 10 ever is, and so that's why I settled on the Kozilek for this league. Let's go ahead and open up our treasure chests. Treasure chest number 1, 10 play points and Kulfinor's Plans. Okay. Treasure chest number 2, we get 5 play points, a promo Mangara the Diplomat, and a Beacon of Immortality. Treasure chest number 3, 15 play points, and a Vengeful Firebrand. Alright, doing kind of crappy on these play point opens. 5 play points, a Concerted Effort, and a Razormane Masticore. Alright, big money, last treasure chest, here we go. 45 play points, more than making up the difference, and I believe Settled Mariner is worth something. Unsettled Mariner is worth a ticket and a half. Nice! Alright. I'm sorry if there's no video going up alongside this one. I'm very tired and I have a lot to do. I'll see if I can get something recorded, but Oz, I'm sorry if there's no bonus video coming out with this Tron list. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, please leave a like, drop a comment, let me know what you think I did right, let me know what you think I did wrong, and subscribe to the channel if you're so inclined. We've been working on a mono-green Tron list that I feel is good. This one is using the most recent 5.0 list and then made several adjustments to make it kind of a little more custom for what I felt would be good in the metagame. A lot of the aggro tech didn't really come into play. I think we got kind of lucky versus aggro. But it did feel good to have access to multiple 8-mana Ugins. It felt good to have the Thragtusk in the main. It felt good to have access to Weather the Storm in the sideboard. There was a couple of times we wanted to bring that in. And I don't feel like we need to go so deep on the Artifact Wish board all the time. I think this is actually quite good. So, yeah. Hope to see you guys next time. Please remember, I do stream on Twitch Wednesdays at 6 p.m. Mountain Time, 8 p.m. Eastern. Our last Twitch VOD is up on YouTube. You can see it. It went up 2 days ago on Friday. It was a ton of fun. Tons of people showed up. We had like 10 consecutive viewers across the whole stream, which was really nice. Most of them were active in chat, which was fantastic. It was a ton of fun, so I recommend showing up if you like interacting with a bunch of people who enjoy jank magic. Alright, well, I've said my piece. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!